Senator Tocqueville. Senator King, please.
Thank you. The first country to adapt new technologies generally wins wars. Genghis Khan in the stirrup, the longbow at the Battle of Agincourt, the tank in World War I, radar in World War II. We are systematically missing technologies. It's one of the great failures of the last 10 or 15 years in our defense structure. Directed energy, hypersonics, AI, cyber, information warfare. We are woefully behind on every one of those. Hypersonics, directed energy. We're shooting down $20,000 Houthi missiles with $4.3 million missiles of our own. That's ridiculous. And the budget for directed energy in the Defense Department has fallen by half in the last 3 years. Representative Harman, is it systematic legacy thinking? What's the problem? Why did we miss these obvious technologies?
Well, you heard us say that the Pentagon is moving at the speed of bureaucracy. I think it is legacy systems, old think. I think Congress is somewhat...
I think it's legacy thinking.
Legacy thinking, fine. But I think that Congress is somewhat complicit in the way the budget process doesn't work and this insistence on requirements and oversight rather than on what is the problem set we are solving for, which is how the tech sector thinks. I've been making a comment about DIU, the Defense Innovation Unit that was set up by the late Secretary Ash Carter, that maybe we should outsource the Pentagon to DIU, which is ably headed by someone named Doug Beck, who had 11 years experience in the private sector, because they know how to think about this. And I couldn't agree with you more. The budget of DIU is $1 billion out of $850 billion. Doug Beck says he can leverage that.
Technologies that win wars.
Right. I'm in violent agreement with you. He says he can leverage that into $50 billion of commercial investment, but that's still a pittance compared to the kind of change we need to undergo, not just at the Pentagon, but at the Pentagon lashed up with other government agencies, with the tech sector, and with partners and allies. That is our point about all elements of national power, which will win the next war.
Let's talk about cyber for a minute. I think it's kind of pathetic that today, just today, this morning, at the beginning of this meeting, we approved the very first Assistant Secretary of Defense for cyber. Cyber has been a serious threat in this country for 15 or 20 years, and just today we're finally getting there. To me, that's emblematic. Let me talk about another point about cyber. Several of our members and you all have talked about the cornerstone of our defense strategy is deterrence. In cyber, we have no deterrent strategy. We're trying to patch our way out of this. People have attacked our country, they've attacked our elections, they've attacked our infrastructure. There have been no consequences, no results. No one fears us in the cyber realm. Do you agree with me that we need to develop a cyber deterrent strategy? It doesn't necessarily have to be cyber for cyber, but there has to be a price to be paid for attacking this country in the realm of cyber. Mr. Ambassador?
Senator King, I think one of the challenges with deterrence in the cyber realm is that first, attribution is frequently a problem. But secondly, the actions you take are not necessarily visible, and therefore it lacks the kind of visible signs that we have in other realms.
It needs to be visible to the adversary or to the deterrence.
Yeah. Well, the problem is it needs to be visible to the adversary, but the question is it visible to your allies who you are also trying to protect with your deterrent? I did want to, if you permit me, on the directed energy point, because I think it's a very powerful point that you make. I think directed energy has suffered a bit from overpromising in the past, and it's been the next big thing, and a lot of people have felt that it's not been delivered. But clearly what you identified is correct, which is we can't be on the wrong end of the cost imposition curve where adversaries can use very cheap attritables that we're shooting down with million-dollar missiles. That's just not sustainable. But there is progress being made on directed energy, including by our allies. The UK has a a system, Dragonfire, that looks like it's got some promise. The Israelis have, got Iron Beam. So there's activity going on, and I think you're right that we need to invest more time and effort in it.
I would
If
feel
I
better.
could just add one thing on cyber. I think you serve on the Intelligence Committee as well. There are things we're doing that we can't talk about that are deterring cyber against us. And we're in other networks, and I
I'm
won't
sorry, but
elaborate
if we
on that.
can't talk about it, it's not deterrence.
But it,
You've got to be able to talk
no,
about it. It's Dr.
maybe,
Strangelove. You
but
can't
not
keep
all,
the doomsday machine
not
secret.
all the time. Our adversaries do understand some of the things we're doing for deterrence. Attribution is still an evolving art, and we can't always identify who's doing what to us. But I think we're stronger in the cyber realm than may appear publicly.
I think we have capabilities. My time is up. I commend you for mentioning terrorism. I worry that we've turned our focus so much to great power competition. One demented individual almost upset our entire presidential process a few weeks ago. I think terrorism is still a very, very significant threat, and I'm afraid we are not attending to it sufficiently. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator King.